The village in it with a map and a plan. No place too tiny for this determined man. Crossing the counties one by one, you'll see in every English corner a bit of history.
Welcome back to Cheshire East again, everybody, for video number 3. Now, the long-time viewers out there will know I've already been to a place with this name. It was in Nottinghamshire. It's a big town on the edge of Sherwood Forest. Well, this, the Cheshire version, is absolutely nothing like that. There's no coal mines here, no big spoil heaps to try and climb over. Oh no. Instead, we're going to be talking a bit about a nursery that was operated from the town of Knutsford, just up the road. This is Ollerton. Ollerton, Alder Tree Farm. Today on TVI we're heading deeper into the Cheshire East District as we make our way onto the A537 just south of Knutsford. Today we're in a place called Ollerton, and no, I don't mean the one near Sherwood Forest. That's a town we've already been to. This is a small village which used to have a nursery, among other things. The name Ollerton means Alder Tree Farm, but there is a school of thought that suggests it may have originally been Owlerton, like the suburb of Sheffield. Lying just over 2 miles away from Knutsford, Ollerton sports a population of just over 300. Local services are somewhat limited here. There's no church, nor is there a village hall, but both of those can be found in the adjacent village of Marthall, which has been connected with Ollerton for a number of years. Other services, such as a primary school, a post office and a shop, have all closed down, with residents instead using those services in Knutsford. You can split this one up into 2 distinct areas. In the north you have the main centre of population, which occupies Marthall Lane and a couple of cul-de-sacs. The north also features the local pub named Dun Cow on the road to Knutsford. The centre of this area can be defined by the crossroads where the post office used to be. In the south you have a long straggling area occupying a tract of land south of the A537. There you can find the old school, Ollerton Hall and a bunch of farms. The A537 provides a link between them, and as the main road through it all, passing traffic often sees very little of this lovely village. We need to right that wrong and put it on the map. Speaking of which, let's see one. So here's what Ollerton looked like in 1900. To tell you the truth, it doesn't look too dissimilar to this today. You can see clearly the 2 main areas of Ollerton on this. This is the northern section where most of the population live. It's centred on a crossroads where Marthall Lane meets the main road. Today, we know that as the A537. It's only slightly smaller than it is today. The fields to the east have been built on a little, but the main nucleus of settlement is still very much there. Then to the south you can see the other part of Ollerton, which is virtually the same today. You can see the old school and the hall clearly marked. Both of those buildings still stand. Between the two you can see how they're linked together via a combination of the main road and its junction with the long and windy School Lane. So for our main walk, let's concentrate on the north. We'll start in this area shown on the 1900 map as a field. Today it's a playground at the end of a street called Oaklands Road. We'll then work our way down Marthall Lane, passing the old Methodist chapel to get to the crossroads. The row of houses on the junction here has a lot to tell us. Then we'll work our way north up the A537 towards the Dun Cow pub, but take note too of the word nursery on the right hand side. That'll become important. So this is the Oaklands Road play area, formerly just a field before some brand new housing came along up this northern end of the village. This is the only recreational space the village has, and so it's central to the needs of Ollerton's residents. It's also the only one available to Marthall, the next village over. A well-used and much valued facility, this has some mature trees around its boundary which help to maintain its rural character and its wide open setting. The park includes playground equipment for children, whilst the playing field also has some goalposts for a kick around. It's a great little spot, all in all. This is Oaklands Road, which is just as open plan as that play area. The properties here, which are a mixture of 20th century houses and bungalows, are all set back from the road. Between them and the road there are wide greens at the Marthall Lane end, which adds to its attractiveness. Let's head onto Marthall Lane as we make for the Methodist Chapel. On the right hand side of the road you'll notice some new houses built as a row of infills within the last 15 years. This was previously just an area of trees that lined the road. Dead opposite them is a street called Chapel Road, but that's not where the chapel was. You can find that at the end of the new houses, opposite another cul-de-sac called Beach Close. Ollerton has no church of its own, so for a long time this chapel was the only place of worship in the village. This former Methodist building was erected in 1886. It served the community for almost a century before it closed in 1982 due to the number of worshippers attending it falling to a very low level. Nonconformism has been around for a while in this area. Congregationalists and early Methodists first held services in a cottage not far from this chapel. Named number 3 Tollbar Cottages, the Wesleyans took it over in 1867 and held their first service there on the 2nd of June that year. Prior to 1886, number 2 Tollbar Cottages was also used as a preaching room. This setup continued until 1885 when the land for this chapel was made available. A year later it was built and it was in action. After worship ceased here in 1982, the building was sold by the church authorities and now it's a private dwelling. You don't have to go far to find Tollbar Cottages. Save for a modern house and a substation, they're almost next door on the central crossroads. The end one here is number 3, where those religious services would have been held once upon a time. You can also see number 2 once used as that preaching room. Number 1 had a different use. Although you will find a number 1 today, it's not the original. That was demolished in the late 1960s in order to widen the road. The original number 1 protruded outwards, meaning traffic turning right out of Marthall Lane had quite a difficult task. As you can imagine, there were many accidents. At the time of its demolition, number 1 was Ollerton Post Office. The protruding part was an outbuilding known as the Bakehouse, where fresh oven-bottom loaves used to be baked. The building had been the post office since 1880, being run by Elizabeth and William Harrop until 1924. From then until 1947, there were several tenants. In 1947, Mary Horn, Beatrice Boker and Jessie Matheson took over, and they soon became known locally as the Shop Ladies. The ladies were quite unique as the villagers relied so much on the services they provided. The post office was turned by them into something of a local shop, and it was well loved too. So the proposal to close it and demolish it to aid the traffic problem in 1966 was of great concern to the residents of Ollerton, and a solution needed to be found. Eventually, the matter was resolved by a local benefactor who provided new premises literally across the road at number 1 Yew Tree Cottages on Seven Sisters Lane. The 3 ladies moved into the new premises in 1968, but soon afterwards Mary Horn died. Beatrice Boker died too the following year, as did Matheson in 1975. In recognition of the 3 ladies for their service to Ollerton over a period of 25 years, a sorbus tree was planted at the crossroads with a memorial plaque at the base. As for the post office, it remained open until the year 2000, but was finally forced to close after the new manager, Mrs. Bailey, lost her husband. Every effort was made to find a new tenant for the business, but that failed. Now, Ollerton's nearest post office is in Shelford. If you head up the A537 towards the Dun Cow, you'll pass a brand new street completed within the last few years, despite long-standing protests from local residents. Dating back to 2016, this site originally had an application for 26 dwellings. It was eventually approved in 2018 with just 10. Now, these houses sit on part of an old nursery. To understand this, we have to understand a little bit about a local family called the Caldwells. They owned a lot of property in Ollerton, but they also owned a nursery in Knutsford. The Caldwell name was well known across Knutsford, but also much further afield. Caldwells is a name associated with Cheshire's gardens and gardeners that stretches back 200 years. Caldwells was a general nursery, which means they stocked the full range of plants. They began business at the end of the 18th century. At that time, there were many different ways of describing their products, but generally they had a range of forest and ornamental trees, fruit trees, and American plants. They also stocked several types of seed. It's not known for sure exactly what they had, but they had almost everything you'd find now in a modern garden centre. It was a family business run by 6 generations of men, all named William Caldwell. All 6 were either a partner or an outright owner. It was a very successful business. Caldwell supplied plants to many customers in Cheshire, Lancashire, the surrounding counties, London, and even as far away as the West Indies. So, with an operation of that magnitude, they needed space, and lots of it. And that's where Ollerton comes in. Caldwells Nursery Nursery is one of the earliest known. It was already an established business by the time the first William Caldwell came along in 1780. He was apprenticed to John Nixon, the man who owned the Knutsford Nursery at the time. It was known back then as Nixon and Carr because he was in a partnership with John Carr. When Nixon retired, Carr took William Caldwell into a new partnership and the nursery name changed from Nixon and Carr to Carr and Caldwell. William Caldwell went on to develop and expand the business. He ended up owning a great deal of land around Knutsford and seemingly he put it to good use. He's known to have owned nursery grounds in Ollerton in 1848, 3 plots of land totalling nearly 4 acres. That was only a small part of his holdings. He had 27 acres across the Knutsford area. The land in Ollerton was either side of what is now the A537. On the Marthall Lane side was a rose nursery, and on the Seven Sisters Lane side was a tree nursery. The main base of operations remained within Knutsford throughout that time, but there were plans to move it all to Ollerton. The idea was to create an arboretum at the bottom of the rose nursery at the same time, an interesting area which had a lily pond. However, following a public meeting, the planned relocation was rejected by Ollerton's residents based on safety issues relating to access and the effects on the residents around the crossroads. Ollerton remained a key site for Caldwell's though, and did so until the business eventually closed in 1992. The site of Caldwell's tree nursery became Ollerton Nursery, and today those new houses we've just seen sit on that very land. Okay, so that's the nursery sorted out. Next job is to head up this road towards the Dun Cow pub, which has got a very interesting history. Let's see what it can tell us. Now we've reached the Dun Cow pub, where the A537 bends westward slightly before continuing on to Knutsford. The name Dun Cow is surprisingly common across England, but this is the first time we've met it. The name is linked to several folk tales involving a brown cow, which is what Dun Cow means. One supposedly roamed Dunsmore Heath near Dunchurch in Warwickshire before being slain by Guy of Warwick, for example. I've no idea what the story is with this one though. Now, you'd likely want to visit this if you wanted a great pub meal, and to be fair, the Dun Cow does that rather nicely. However, not everyone that's eaten in here has lived long enough to come back again. Don't worry, the food isn't poisonous, it's just that the Dun Cow used to be a stopping point for condemned criminals en route to Knutsford to be hanged. Many would eat their last meal here. You see, as well as being a pub, the Dun Cow also served as a temporary courthouse and a makeshift prison too. It doesn't now though, and I can assure you nobody will take you to the gallows if you pop in. The last hanging ever recorded in Knutsford was in 1912, where Booth's car park now is. Beyond the pub it becomes very leafy. Up there, as the road continues on to Knutsford, is Windmill Wood. There's no windmill in it these days, but there's always a clue in the name. Many historical maps, such as John Speed's map of Cheshire in 1600, identify windmills within the wood. Windmill Wood has many veteran trees and several ponds, which provide wetland habitats for the resident wildlife. The woodland is privately owned, and there's no general public access, apart from 3 public rights of way that run through it. Windmill Wood is designated an SBI site, recognised by Cheshire Wildlife Trust and the Woodland Trust too. This is why some proposed development on it back in 2009 was rejected. So just so you're aware, Windmill Wood is actually at the corner. It's not these trees you can see on either side of the road, although I suppose they are, technically speaking, part of it. But yeah, there's not much point going all the way up there to the actual wood itself, because they're trees. To me, they just all look the same. They might be different to some people, but I'm not one of those people. So let's make our way back past the dun cow and down towards where we started. It's just starting to spit with rain right now, so hopefully I get back to the car before I get soaked. Just want to make a point about this road, by the way. Can you imagine how much of a nightmare it would be these days if toll bar cottages were still protruding out onto this road? It would cause some serious accidents, I'm sure. I even had a woman come to me when I was filming them asking me, am I doing something with speed cameras? I said, no, I'm just making a video of the village. She seemed very disappointed about that. I imagine a lot of people come down this road at speed. It's a 50 limit, but yeah, it's almost dead straight between here and Macclesfield, so you can see why people might want to put the foot down. We're going to travel down this road ourselves now towards the southern part of Ollerton, down School Lane. See you there in a sec. Now to look at the south of the village. To get there, we need to use the A537 and turn right into the long and windy School Lane. That will take us past several old farms and a former smithy clustered around the junction. Most of these buildings still stand. You might have already guessed it, but yes, the A537 used to be a turnpike, hence the toll bar cottages at the crossroads. There isn't really a lot to say about this area, so I'm just going to let the driving do the talking. See you again very shortly. The south has two main landmarks. These are the school, which still stands despite being closed for years now, and Ollerton Hall just to the north of it. Beyond these, to the south, are more farms, whilst to the north is the A537, accessed using the lane adjacent to the hall. Ollerton has had two school buildings in its history. The first, according to a historical record, was funded from the estate of Samuel Lee and built in around 1700. The second school, built close to the first in 1876 by Lord Egerton, is this. Due to falling numbers of pupils attending, the school closed in 1993 and was sold in 1994. It's now a private dwelling. The closure of the school was a sad occasion. Residents of the village organised a strong campaign to keep it open, but with only 30 pupils, they were fighting a losing battle. Today, schooling for Ollerton's children is provided by Chelford or by Knutsford. Whichever is preferred though, there's some travelling involved. Finally, we come to the Hall, a country house whose nucleus dates from the 16th century. It was originally built in an H-plan, followed by a succession of rambling extensions. There was a reference to a building on this site in the Domesday Book, though the existing building has nothing from those times. This is full instead of awesome Georgian features. The house was built originally for the powerful de Bagley family, once a prominent name in Cheshire. A plaque over the entrance here is inscribed with the initials THP. They stand for Thomas Henry Potts. Alongside those is a date, 1728. Otherwise, the building is constructed in rendered brick with a slate roof. The entrance front has 5 bays, whilst at each end is a gabled crosswing. It's a Grade 2 listed building. It also has 5.6 acres of mature gardens, paddocks and an orchard, as well as a stable block, a coach house and a range of outbuildings, as well as a separate wing. That wing is known as Ollerton Hall House, currently utilised as a most delightful standalone 3-bedroom house. To get to the next village, you have two options: either drive down the A537 directly, or go back through Ollerton via the crossroads and take the longer, more scenic route. There can only be one choice as far as I'm concerned, the longer route, because the direct route would miss out half of the next parish. See you on the road again tomorrow. Now, just before I go, remember, this video is part of a huge project to visit every civil parish in England. That's more than 10,000. These routes are pre-planned, and due to time constraints, I can't cover every detail or walk down every street. Please don't complain if this video missed something out. I pronounce names how I choose to. I am very aware that local dialect may vary, and I don't take kindly to criticism about this. You've been warned. It's impossible to know everything too. If this video was terrible, make your own. If you're a regular watcher of The Village Idiot, you're not the only one. If you've got a small business, why not use my videos to advertise it? Leave a comment below if you're interested. And finally, thanks for watching this episode, everybody. Give us a like and a subscribe if you've enjoyed this episode, and share it with your friends and relatives. It all helps to keep this mission going. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as The Village Idiot, and I'm out.